Good afternoon, UAW Local 1700 active and retired members. I'm Letishka Hearn, your CAP chair. Today we have your CAP members here today. CAP stands for Community Action Program. Typically what we do is go around and encourage people to get registered to vote, get people out to vote, pass out different literature, update people on the changes that has happened throughout the years in regards to the process of being able to vote. There is a lot of myths in regards to voting, what you can and cannot do, whether if you have a felony or not, whether there's a certain deadline. There has been a lot of changes in regards to deadlines for you registering and or actually voting in person or through absentee. From years ago, now you can actually register at the last minute and actually vote, but you will have to do that in person. You can go to your nearest county clerk and or any community center that's set up in your area. I also would like to introduce your other CAP members. We have Marvin White, Keely Bell, and Amber Love.
How you doing, Local 1700 family? My name is Brother Mervin White.
Good afternoon. I am Keely Bell.
Good afternoon. I am Amber Love. All right, so let's get this started. If you do not have transportation to go vote, there are organizations that you can call, such as
They're Warrior on Wheels. So if you do not have transportation to the polls, Warrior on Wheels, they're offering free transportation. The director is Lisa Franklin, and their telephone number is 313-552-2916. That's 313-552-2916. Please share that information.
it is so important that we all get out to vote so that we can make our own decisions and not allow others to make the decisions for us. Voting is our right. If we do not use it, we will lose it.
Yes.
Absolutely. I was one of the people who did go vote early. I took my children with me so they could see the process. Because I remember the first time that I was able to vote, it was something different. And it made me realize that it was important because we was out there standing in a long line. And again, yesterday we was out there standing in a long line, but it was flowing smooth. And it gave my children the opportunity to see the process played out in real time. And they also engaged in some conversations because they've been watching, the commercials with the candidates going back and forth. So despite who you vote for, the message today is simple. Just make sure you get out and vote.
You can register to vote all the way up until the day of election, and it has to be before 8 p.m.
Yes. And it is very important to vote because one thing you have to understand, they wouldn't be fighting so hard to take your rights away if it's not important. I know you hear a lot of people saying, oh, my vote doesn't matter. It does matter, and there's power behind voting. So once again, it is so important for you to exercise your right to vote. Get up and get out to the polls and vote. Please vote like your life depends on it.
And part of the reason I joined the CAP committee is because you get to put your boots to the ground. You get to meet some of the candidates that you see on TV, and the door knocking aspect. I love the door knocking aspect. It can be scary sometimes, but it can also be exciting. It gives you the stories and the interaction with everyday people to be able to have those brief conversations, right? So, being active, even if it's just in your own backyard, is very important because you get to see, the issues that we deal with on an everyday basis, from local to state and also federal. So with that being said, I have a question. I would like to know how has your experience been since being on the committee, the CAP committee?
Well, I'm actually new to the CAP committee, but I can tell you one of my experiences. I am a precinct delegate. Years ago at the region, they really expressed the importance of becoming a precinct delegate. Even though you become an elected official, you're a non-paid elected official, but it's a very important role. And I remember years ago when my son first was able to vote. And I remember when we went as a family and actually seeing my name on the ballot as a precinct delegate. And once I won the position, how excited he was, 18, voting for his mother. But that kind of made him realize that your vote do count. It does matter. So get to start going even for your local elections. Every election matters and every election counts, not just for the presidential, because the local elections is what handles our day-to-day. So that's really important for us moving forward as a community, as the state of Michigan. Pay attention to your local elections because that's what handles our taxes. That's what handles our day-to-day. So try to get more involved. It's so much knowledge to be gained, and also the importance of your vote. Your vote do matter.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you brought up the precinct delegate because I believe that's how Martha G. Scott got started in politics, was as a precinct delegate, and then she moved up to state rep and further. Being a precinct delegate is something that I do have in mind to do eventually, because, like you said, you do start local in your backyard. At the your property taxes, your roads, your schools. Schools is the most important thing for most of the working class. Because, we want our kids to get a good education. So these things are fundamentally important to all of us. I guess when we decide to just kick back and not go vote, but we want to complain. Well, if you don't vote, your complaint really don't matter, right?
It shouldn't.
So, that's why our message today is utilize your right to vote. We have people, giants who have passed, they fought to give us this opportunity to get out here and to change policies, to change the direction and the flow of how everything is, carrying on. So I just hope that, we reaching somebody with this message.
And not only that, prosecutors are on the ballot. School boards are on the ballot.
That's true.
So it is important. These are things that affect you. People want to complain, but you don't realize judges are on the ballot. So these are people that affect your day to day. But when you choose to sit at home and do nothing, it is important. Mileages, our taxes are on the ballot. Once again, judges are on the ballot. Your school district, people that makes decisions concerning your children are on the ballot. So there's a lot of things there's a lot of reasons for you to go out and vote. Just don't think about the presidential part of it. Look at that whole ballot. Turn that ballot around. These are things that's going to affect us. So I just think that people have to stop being so comfortable and get up and exercise your right. People die for us to vote. So, and that's my thing. I guess I can't stress this enough. They wouldn't be fighting so hard to take your vote from you if it didn't mean anything. No one will be spending all these millions of dollars for you to set up systems so that you can't vote if your vote didn't matter. It does.
And the people who not voting most negatively affects are the ones who need to be getting up to vote.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the things I discovered, I've been a precinct delegate for multiple times for the past 25 years in 3 different counties. And what I've come to realize is people is afraid of what they don't know. And regardless of their age, they could be older. They're embarrassed by not knowing when really all they have to do is ask a simple question. Especially now we have the internet. Years back, we didn't even have the internet. So for anyone coming up or even older people now, you have a tool in your hand that can assist you in less than 30 seconds on whatever it is that you're trying to do. What I've discovered is, for whatever reasons, people don't ask questions because they feel embarrassed like they should already know. Asking a question, that's what you're supposed to do. Sometimes we ask questions for understanding, not because we don't necessarily know, or just to get a different perspective. What I did realize this was my first time ever going to the community center. I typically go to my polling place or I do absentee. but the clock was ticking and I was busy and I was running out of time. So I just got up and drove straight to the community center and did it. What I noticed on their table was they had all the millage bills on a sample form laying on the table. Anything that's going to affect whatever county you're in, that school district, the beginning to the end of how many years that it could hinder you, whether it was increasing a dollar amount that you would pay, that would be added actually to your property taxes in that county to like 2036. Those are items that you want to look at regardless. You may or may not live there to 2036, but as long as you're there, that money, if it's passed, will be added to your property taxes. And what I've discovered is a lot of people say, oh, why my house no go up? Why this happened? What happened? They don't remember election day, or they really didn't understand the municipality part on the back of the ballot, or they didn't complete it. They just voted either for president. People do that. They go vote for president and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't pick the judges, the trustees.
Yes.
They don't pick the school, Utica School. In my case, it would be Utica School District. They just turn the ballot in and that's it. So it's really important. And if you don't know, like I said, you can go online now.
Yeah.
Look up anything that you want to know and complete your ballot.
But hold on, just because you don't have a mortgage does not mean it does not affect you when it comes to the millage rates and the property taxes. If you are renting, it's worse for you because the apartment company, they have to pass that cost on to the next person.
Yes.
That's going to be
Yes.
you, and you don't have a choice.
So true.
Absolutely.
So true.
Three major issues that I noticed that catches most people's attention. Taxes is definitely one during election time. Healthcare. And, we've been talking about pensions, even though, my generation right now, they say pensions is a thing of the past. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to election cycles is the economy. And everything is kind of like a domino effect. So when you have a weak local economy, that knocks down the dominoes. So now it goes from local, state, federal. So this is when you start seeing your elected officials in this rah-rah on Capitol Hill or state capitol, because you cannot have a weak local economy. If you have a weak local economy, it's not going to, your global economy cannot sustain itself because everything is intertwined and connected to each other. So when you're talking about the issues of healthcare, that's important to our seniors. You're talking about taxes, that's important to us all. And Keely, I like when you brought up the judges and the prosecutor.
Yeah. They're on the ballot.
They're on the ballot, and if you happen to be someone who has ran into some legal issues, you're gonna wish you could have voted this prosecutor in or out.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to the judges, because they sit like for a lifetime, right?
Yes.
They have like lifetime appointments. So really, judges is almost, in a sense, not even affected with the politics because they there for so long.
But even with that being said, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So you think about a lot of the issues, and then once they take it to the highest court, Supreme Court is on the ballot.
It sure is.
I'm just saying. So, and that's what people don't understand. So you want to sit back and you want to complain, but you have that power in that pen. You have the power in that circle. Your Supreme Court, your judges, your prosecutors, all the things that people get upset about. But these are people that, because by you not voting, you're basically you could be putting the wrong person in that seat because you chose to sit at home. So what people don't understand is you choosing to do nothing is worse, because we have people, we have a lot of things that's coming across the table. Think about your Social Security. A lot of these things are going to be voted on and deciding on. People have spent years. Think about my parents, grandparents who've paid into Social Security. And you have some sectors, some political parties that want to make it private, which they should not. So, and that's what I want people to understand. The Supreme Court is very important who sits in those seats. Your judge, your district court judges, it is very important who sits in those seats. Your prosecutor. So, and that's what I think people like to focus on the presidential, but it's so much more, like Tish was saying, with our millages. school taxes. It's so much more that's on that ballot. Turn that ballot on over, or you can go online even before you get to the polls. You can go online and get a sample ballot. And for the most part, floating around Facebook, if you are Google, if you want to do Wayne County, there's a lot of different where you can get help with knowing the judges. You can Google the different names and see what they're for. So you don't just have to get to the polls and just be dumbfounded when looking at your ballot. Do some research. What I do is when I'm dealing with the school board, even though my youngest is 25, but I still know that school board plays a part with children in their education. If I don't know the people that sit on that school board, before I go there, I Google them. I want to see what they're about. I want to see what their record is. And I also Google their personal, because that means you're going to make decisions about children, our children. So it's important to know how they feel, what their Facebook page look like. I'm just saying, and you can do some of those things before you even get to the poll, where you can make truly an educated decision on these things, where you're not just there circling bubbles because you don't know. When I was younger, I'm going to say this, when I was 18, 20, 25, I used to vote for females. I'm just being honest. I would go down the ballot, I'm just keeping it real, and I would vote for every woman on that ballot. I don't do that anymore. I choose to be an educated voter. But I'm just saying, I'm just telling the truth. That's what I would do. I would vote for women on the ballot because I felt that when it came to certain issues, we had compassion. Well, but, it's best to get educated. And like Tish said, no question is a dumb question.
So also, too, what I realized when I did go to the community center for the first time and voted, they have a lot of assistive tools with you, laying on the table, but a lot of people just come in, sign a little sheet, get their ballot, and go. They don't really pay that much attention, but it was a long line, so I was just looking around, and I noticed it said sample ballot, and it said millages, and they had examples laying out and highlighted. Pick it up and read it and look at it. You're in a long line, so you got plenty of time to do so. And as Keely stated, her youngest is 25, mine is 18, and this will be her first year actually voting. Also, for the past 4 weeks, she decided to work. So she's been working towards the election and also being compensated for that. So she's learning as well. So she sparked up a conversation with me about the election, and I was shocked because typically when I try to talk to her about something, she don't pay me no attention. But she knew all the candidates, knew what all was in jeopardy. So good. To their point where we think our children aren't paying attention, because I call her introvert. She like to stay locked up in the room with the internet all day. She's well aware of what's going on. And their way is just not our way. When we were coming up, it was more interaction. When we stayed in the room, our parents said something's wrong with us. Right. So it's kind of like the reverse now for them. Like I said, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to seek information. Last week, I posted all the UAW endorsed candidates online on our social sites that we look at work. And when I post something, it's for informational. It's not for necessarily debate. I had someone come in there, well, why are you, the union, telling us who to vote for? That's not the intent of the endorsements. The intent for the endorsements is to let you know who's running for what capacity. And if you don't know, and if you are uneducated, this is a tool that you can use. Correct. The post doesn't say vote for these people. Right. It says that these are the endorsed candidates for these counties. So if you live in the counties that I posted, it's a tool to help you decide what you want to do. Mostly everyone has a cell phone. So as Keely stated, you can look that candidate up and decide if you want to go with them or not.
And one thing about the UAW endorsed candidates, they're not telling you so much who to vote for. They're just telling you who's labor friendly, who's leaning towards what benefits us, who's leaning towards our medical, for those that have the pensions, for our Social Security. So basically what they're telling you that they vetted these individuals, and these are individuals that's supposed to be backing what's going to benefit us in the long, working class people. So once again, you have your right, like Tish said. No one is telling you who to vote for. Right. They're just telling you these are individuals who are labor friendly, who are worker friendly.
So, how do you know that they are labor and worker friendly?
Because what happens, you come down to the region and you have an interview. So they
Screening
come
process.
in. We have a whole screening process. I've been a screener before, and what they do, they research the candidate, they vet the candidate, they see how their voting record.
Okay.
So what happens? These are not just individuals that they just decided to pull out of a hat. No, they've actually looked at their voting record. And my understanding right now, our president, they're holding these people to their words. If you're saying that you're backing labor, if you're saying you're backing a pension, if you're saying you're backing our Social Security, they're holding you to your voting record. So they're pulling up when they're sitting in Congress and they're sitting in these different seats. They're looking to see what bills they voted for, what did they allow to pass, are they showing up to vote? Because and that's another thing, people that you vote for, you can actually look at their voting record as well to see were they absent. Something that would affect you, were they actually present during that time to cast their vote? You can actually look at their voting record as well.
That document that I posted in regards to who was running for what in each county, I actually have been a screener for the past 29 years. Yes. Any UAW member that pays dues has the right to go to the region in their location during that time frame, whether it's a 2-year or 4-year election, and volunteer to be a screener. You can meet the candidates yourself. You can read their bio, the letter they write for endorsement from us. You actually can sit there and ask them a series of questions. So a lot of people say, well, it's the same old people. Why the same old people was willing to commit their time. Yeah. You are not compensated. We are not compensated. No. The things I've been doing for the past 29 years in regards to government and econ, because that's what the government is, precinct delegate, I belong to APRI. It's a constituency group. I'm the second vice president there. All that stuff is on my own time. Yeah. I do not get paid for that. But I also enjoy it. It's something I love. It's like a hobby for me. Yes. Everybody has something that they're good at and that they enjoy, but what better to be a part of is something that's going to determine how you like to live and how you want to live.
Yes.
Can I just piggyback real quick? Because you both said something important, right? When we are voting for our candidates, I think sometimes we give our lawmakers, legislators, too much slack because they are the ones who essentially write these laws.
Yes.
And sometimes these bills get full and loaded with a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with nothing. So when we don't educate ourselves to the issues, we get things like redlining, yes, redistricting.
Yes.
Some of us complain about the cost of high car insurance.
Yeah.
So all of these things lead back to laws and policies.
Yes.
So as a labor group, we should be reaching out to our legislators. That would be your state rep and your senator at the state level, and then at the federal level, you have your U.S. Representative and your U.S. senator. So the bills that eventually become laws are important to us because when we talk about job security and hey, these companies and corporations are trying to move this product or this across not even state lines, but out of the country. Mm-hmm. We have to go back and hold those elected officials accountable and say, hey, they call it in DC lobbyists.
Yeah.
We have to lobby these elected officials on these issues that's important to us because, what was it, Walter Reuther said, anything that can be negotiated can be taken away at the stroke of a pen.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So, and we seeing that play out in real time, but instead of us coming together in solidarity on these issues to really push a real agenda for us, we arguing amongst each other.
Right.
Ready to rip each other heads off when there's a process in play. Right. There's always been a process, and this is the process.
Well, and I think another thing is that getting so stuck with the blue and the red, the Democrat and the Republican. No, we're working people.
Yep.
So we spend too much time fighting each other. No, basically we are people that have to go to work. So my thing is, I don't care if you Democrat or Republican. How are you affecting me? Do your research. You can't just stand on one side of the road. My thing is, do your research. They have us spending so much time fighting each other. Look at so many bills that have passed that are hurting us. So my thing is, if there's power in numbers, and if we hold these politicians and make them stand for something, it would benefit the working class people. But we're spending too much time fighting one another. It shouldn't matter. My thing is that we're at a crossroads. It's getting very important, and we need people in office that's going to benefit our way of life. Stop allowing so many of our vehicles and things to be taken out of this country. We want people in office that's going to help our day to day, our lives. Like Mervin just was saying about the car insurance. You have some people that paying almost $1,000 a month for one vehicle. That doesn't make any sense. But if you don't get up and exercise your right and vote, these cost of livings, your house insurance, all these things are just going to keep going up and up and up. And all you're going to do is have the top 2% study pocketing our money, our hard-earned money, because they have us fighting one another versus coming together and fighting to save our pocketbook, our money, our livelihoods. So, when it comes down to it, voting matters. Our pocketbook matters. Everything, what did he say? The bread box is connected to the what?
Ballot box.
There we go.
So, one of the biggest issues I've been hearing this election cycle, right, is reproductive. Can anybody tell me what is the issue with the reproductive matter that's on the table?
No, there's a lot of issues with the reproductive. And there's one thing in politics, they always want to bring up women's reproduction and religion. I don't get that. But that's a deterrent, as she stated earlier. Other things to get your mind off of what you're supposed to be doing. But reproductive rights, they want you to have abortions. They don't want them to be legal. Want it to be a crime. It's a felony. One of the issues with that is things happen. The world happen. People could be raped, incest, things of that nature. And so I don't think anyone would want to be stuck in a situation like that where they have to have a child that, it's unfortunate that it came about that way.
Well, that's personal. First of all, my reproductive rights shouldn't be on the ballot. That's personal. That's between me and my spouse, or the woman and her, whatever it is. That should not be, and that's where it's going wrong.
They want to make it illegal state to state.
Yes, the woman, our reproductive rights should not be on the ballot. It should not be. First of all, they don't have a right to, and to me, that's where you overstepping the line. So to me, it's very important, and I'm glad you said that, Tish. Every woman should be getting up to vote. Mm-hmm. Because they're coming up against us. They want us back in the kitchen and cooking.
Well, if abortions are illegal, end up being illegal, then Viagra should be illegal.
I truly agree.
Hand in hand.
Yes.
Okay. So we're getting ready to close out. So the message for today is make sure you get out to vote, because all of these issues are important. Our livelihood is important. Our job security is important. It's all important. So it's really up to you to decide, hey, you going to sit at home and just sit idly by and just let the world go by, or you're going to get out and actually make a difference?
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
Vote.